So the most important person in my life, I've had several, but one of the earliest most important people was somebody who, when I was 12, gave me a PSAT book. And it was the first person to have an expectation of me not only to go to high school, but to finish and go to college. And I lived in an environment where nobody went to college, so that was probably something that set my life on a different course than it would have been. I would say that the happiest moment of my life so far would be having my daughter Hannah, and when she was born, because that was life-changing and amazing. One of the saddest moments of my life is when I lost my grandmother, because she was basically my mom, so that was really challenging and hard. Most influential in my life would definitely be my daughter, Hannah. And I think it's because she's taught me what it really means to love someone unconditionally, and also she's given me strength and confidence and taught me a lot of lessons about how to be a good mom and how to be a good person. And she reflects back to me the things that I have a problem with or a challenge with, because that's what our kids do. I think the kindest person to me in my life would be my husband. We've been together 20 years, and he is by far nicer than I am, kinder than I am. And every time I feel like getting upset or angry, he shows me a different way to look at something. And he's always very complimentary. He's always thinking of other people, and he's always thinking of me before himself. So he's definitely the nicest person and kindest person to me. Some of the most important lessons I've learned in life are to let it go, to not stress about things that you don't control, and we don't really control much, so I try not to stress too much. Be kind always, and really truly think about other people and their situations before you judge. So those are great lessons I've learned. My earliest memory I have discovered was literally 6 months old. I was in a crib, and I described to my mother the walls and the tapestries and things that were on the walls, and it was a view from a crib. And so I was probably maybe 6 to 8 months old. I think if you were to ask my family funny stories about me, it would definitely be things that embarrass them. I'm pretty hyper, just like I am at school. I'm kind of spastic, and I tend to dance around. I tend to be a little bit loud, probably, and neither of them are very loud. So funny stories might be maybe just my overall energy and how that gets us into some funny situations sometimes. The Duran Duran thing last year, trying to get on Ellen, that was a pretty funny story, and how excited I got when I got to go to Ellen. Well, this is a really funny story from school, and it doesn't start out funny, but a kid was in my class, and he was in 11th grade, and he was hungover, which unfortunately sometimes happens in a class, and I figured it out, and before I sent him to the office, I gave him a lot of water to drink, and he ran to the front of the classroom and threw himself in my giant trash can to throw up. That was really funny, I thought. He was a little guy, and so he fell completely into the trash can as he was throwing up. It's a terrible story, but I laughed because you shouldn't come to school hungover, and you shouldn't drink. I'm definitely most proudest of the mother that I am. I think I'm a great mom to Hannah, and I work really hard at that. And just watching who she is and how she is, I think that is a testament to me being a good mom. So I'm very proud of that. So a time in my life when I felt most alone was probably growing up. I had a really crazy childhood, and I was left alone a lot, and I was on my own a lot. And I was basically homeless when I was 15, and had to figure out the world on my own. So I had a lot of friends and a lot of great people who helped me, but I was definitely on my own a lot from probably about the age of, I would say, 8 or 9. So if I could hold on to a memory forever, the one memory would be the evening I met my husband. because a lot of circumstances came into play to put us both in the same place at the same time. And it was, as they call kismet. It was very instant when we met each other. So I imagined my life when I was your age in high school. I was going to go to New York City and work for a magazine and be an editor. And I started substitute teaching just to make some money, and found out that I really loved teaching. And a woman told me that I should be a teacher, and she was a woman I really respected. And I never wanted to be a teacher, but then once I started teaching, I realized that this is the best thing on earth, and I love it so much. So my life is very different because I never wanted to be a teacher. I didn't like my teachers. I didn't know any of my teachers really. I went to 6 high schools, so I wasn't connected to school at all. So my life is very different than I thought it was going to be, but I think it's even better than I thought it was going to be. So I would like to be remembered for my teaching, and I don't know if you can see on the back wall here, but this is kind of the history of my teaching career for at least the last several years. And I've been teaching about 18 years, and I would love to be remembered by all the students I've had, and hopefully they remember that they had a good time in my class, they learned something, they felt good about themselves, and that I adored them, each and every one of them. Well, maybe not everyone. I probably have a couple of regrets, although my life has turned out pretty great. So those regrets, I guess, haven't really affected me in a negative way. But a regret I have would be refinancing my house. Probably not the best idea 7 or 8 years ago. And another regret would probably be maybe not following a few of my dreams when I was younger, but I feel like I'm doing them now. So if you have regrets, you can always, hopefully, make up for them later. So I hope my future holds a lot of years, like at least 45 more years. So I'll be a feisty old lady. And I hope my future holds Hannah having a great and successful life. And I hope my future holds a lot more traveling and maybe teaching for a while longer, and maybe even in different capacity. I hope my future holds a lot of adventure and finishing the book that every high school English teacher is probably writing right now, because we all write. Amish, I hope the future holds for you a lot of happiness. I hope that you go on to college and you become big and famous and super rich, and you come back and buy me a really nice present. And I hope you're really happy, and I hope that your future holds for you all that you want it to be, because you're really smart and you're super great, and you have a really nice mom too. So if this were our very last conversation, that's really a morbid question, and I'm not loving this, but I would say a couple things. I would say, it's been great knowing you. You're a nice boy. Tell Neil I said hello, and eat more cake, and go on great adventures, and let's figure out how it's not our last conversation, please. Okay. So for my great-great-great-grandchildren who are listening to this, I would want you to know that I survived so you can be here. I ate really good food and I exercised so that I lived a long enough life so that you could have life. I'd also like you to know that love is all there is. I think that's a Beatles song or something like that. Is there anything I've ever wanted to tell you, Amish, and I've never told you? I cheated in 10th grade geometry class. That's what I'll tell you. I got caught, though, and it was horrible. Awful. Well, Amish, I have always wondered, and I've never asked you this, but what do you want to be when you grow up?